Hi, good morning. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Wow. Okay. Okay, so I believe you can all hear me. I believe you can hear me. Can you hear me? Just put in the chat box if you can hear me in the comment section. Good morning, good morning. I think I have Barbara, Tochi, Chichi, I have Yanu, I think I have Muradeo. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right. Good morning. It's so nice to have everybody here. I really appreciate you guys coming. Thank you for waking up and trying to join this session. Thank you. Where we live, I live in Lagos, Nigeria. So where we live, Saturday morning is when we try to catch up. Just a moment. All right, so we start in 3 minutes. I'll just give 3 minutes and then I'll start. 3 minutes and then we'll start and have a wonderful time. That's what we're going to do. So in 3 minutes time, let's see. Okay, can my producer please check her WhatsApp messages, please? My producer, you know yourself. Please check my WhatsApp message, your WhatsApp messages, please. You have 2 more minutes. Two more minutes, and we'll be all right. So let's see how it goes this morning, and let's see how it goes. Welcome. Peace, welcome. Kids Book Club, Uchi, Regan, Solomon, Theophilus. Welcome. It's fantastic to have you guys here. Thanks. Thank you. I really appreciate the time. I appreciate. Just a last message for my producer. Can my producer please check her WhatsApp message again, please? Welcome, Wale, Ifi, Omar. Thank you for joining. So we start at 7:35, which is in 1 minute. So we'll go live in 1 minute. Bye. All right, so we start now. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Uche Okute, and I really appreciate everybody for making out time to join us this morning, because I live in Lagos and a lot of us live in Lagos, and Saturday mornings are the times where we try to catch up, at the times where we try to catch up on what we've not done in the week. So people go to the gym, people get extra hours of sleep, people do a lot of things on Saturday morning. So for you to join me this Saturday morning, I really appreciate that, and I say thank you. And in honor of that, I'm going to do two things. In honor of that, I'm going to do two things. Number one, I'm going to try as much as possible to make this as brief as possible, to make this as short as possible, so that we can get back to what we have to do, one. And then two, I'm going to try to be as simple as possible. So I'm not going to use some of the buzzwords or some of the technical jargon we use basically in process design and process monitoring. So I'm not going to do most of those. I'm just trying to make it as simple, a conversation that is relatable, and then it's something that we can apply anytime we want to use it. So that's basically what I am going to do for us this morning. So welcome once again. My name is Uche Okute, and I do process management professionally. That's what I do professionally. So I decided to organize this session so we will be able to cascade the knowledge and the information we have to business owners and also people who work in corporates who might not have this as a priority in their organizations. So we'll try to address that here today, this morning, and just see how we could get some tips and make it work for us. So good morning, and today we'll be talking about process design, how to use processes to drive growth and organizational efficiency. For growth, it refers to both large corporates and also SMEs. And then for organizational efficiency, it refers to people who work in organizations. So that's basically how we're going to approach it. So to do justice, I'm going to go through an outline. We'll do an overview, just what processes are, how processes affect us, and the basics of processes. We're going to talk about some business questions that people need to ask. Then talk about process design, some definitions, basically the components of the process and how to now leverage it. So we'll just go through the whole spectrum from start. The assumption is we're starting at ground level, so I'm not going to make any assumptions on this session. So first of all, why processes? That's the first thing. The way our world works is our world is governed by a series of principles, and the fact that a person is not violating a principle does not mean the person is using it maximally. That's one thing I noticed, because take, for example, the mass spectrum. You have plus 10, you have 0, and then you have minus 10. So a person might be at 0. It doesn't mean he's using the whatever is available, which is plus 10, and then there's negative, it could slide back. So if you're in business, if you go about any form of creating value, if you work in an organization, everything you do are processes in some way. So you already do processes, you already work with processes, but most people might not be fully maximizing it because maybe they don't fully understand that this is what I am doing per se, or maybe because they have not paid attention to try to consciously tweak those processes. So our world works like that. And when we don't understand how principles work, then our approach to success becomes a scattershot approach, meaning you just try this, and that's how a lot of times we come across when we do a lot of things. So that's one thing I needed to establish, that in your everyday life today, you would have become acquainted with processes in some way. Actually, in some way, you would have become acquainted with it. So today we're just going to shine a spotlight on it and trying to make it more obvious to you. So businesses have a myriad of their parameters that businesses use to define themselves. And for large corporates, you talk about vision statement, mission statement, brand value, brand promise, those things they talk about. For SMEs, you want to grow revenue. So I would sum those three for the purpose of this our discussion into three parameters. The first is your unique identity as a business or as an organization. The second is your goal, what you want to achieve, your positioning you want to achieve from whatever service you offer. And then the third are your products and services. Three things. So your unique identity, I'll just use an everyday item for explanation. For example, Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Unique identity, Coca-Cola is Coca-Cola, Pepsi is Pepsi. There's no way you're going to take one of them and mix it up. So you know what Coke is, you know what Pepsi is. Two, their goals. If you go through their advertisements, if you go through their brand promotions, Coca-Cola, the theme of their advertisements are always family, friendship, that they want to build community. But if you go through Pepsi adverts, Pepsi tells you see them associating themselves with sports stars, with people who are athletes. Why? They're trying to tell you, okay, my brand is associated with bringing out the star in you. So, two different unique identities. You cannot mix it. Even if you met the advert halfway, from the way it goes, you can tell, okay, this is which of them. Their products, they both are into cola. They sell cola. That's like their major products. Coca-Cola, that's what they do. Pepsi is almost alike, but they're still different. And then they now have the goals, and then they are the products that they say. I talked about the product and then the goals, what they want to achieve. So how do they align these three? It's what we're talking about today. There's one thing that businesses can use to align their identity, can use to align their plans or their goals, and can use to align their products. One thing they can use to align it, to measure it, to correct it, and to improve it is what we call processes. That project, that process, that action is a process design. So by definition, a process design is how organizations or how businesses take their vision. I talked about you have your vision and the rest, or how businesses take their vision, how they take the available resources to them, and how they transform it into measurable, distinct components that they can now leverage in the market. Long and short, process design is how you take your unique identity, your goals, and you transform that into a product that meets a service or does something for your customer. That's what process design entails. It starts with the customer. You want to deliver a value to a customer. It ends with the customer. That's it. So everything in between is what we're going to talk about today. So there are some questions that you ask yourself as a business owner. There's a question that you ask yourself, even in your organization, you ask yourself, okay, what are our goals? How do I achieve them? How do I know I am correct? How do I know I am working on it? How do I know I am getting better? How do I know this is working fine for me? How do I improve upon it? And these questions can be very daunting most times because it looks like there are a lot of things to measure. And there are pressures that people might face when they go through these things. But that's why when you are conscious about the fact that everything in between is your process, then you'll be able to relate with it and then you'll be able to sort it out. So a business process is a series of activities that people employ to achieve that goal. Now, I try to find some definitions of a business process. So I think Gartner said that it's an event-driven end-to-end processing that starts with the customer and ends with the customer. I would use, for example, fashion design as an example. People who make fashion items. So, for example, you need to get an outfit and you need to get the outfit made. You would go. So, I would use myself as the person who does fashion, even though I don't do fashion anyway. But I'll use myself as the person who does fashion. So, for example, I have a client who needs me to make a piece of fabric or cloth for them. The person comes to me and tells me, I want XYZ cloth on XYZ day, and then we pick the pattern. Customer. Then after that, I have to go and source for fabric. I have to cut. I have to do the work of actually making the dress or contract people to make it. After that, I have to do the laundry, then package it and deliver it. So it starts with the customer. Remember what it says? It says end to end. Starting with the customer and ending with the customer. What you do in between, that's what your process is. What you do in between, that's what the process is. Techopedia, another definition, says it's a wide range of structured, often chained activities or tasks conducted by people or equipment to produce a specific service or product for a user or a customer. Brings us back to a user or a customer. I'll just say this here. The first mistake people make when they approach process design is the fact that they forget that it is all about the customer. That's it. All about the customer. Because you're trying to serve a customer, you're trying to meet a customer's need. That's all you're trying to do by process design. And the last, it says that a business process is a series of linked tasks that culminate in the delivery of a service. So the three definitions tell us that number one, it's about the customer. Number two, all you're doing is trying to deliver a service to that customer. So now we understand what a business process is, what it entails. So the question now is why are business processes important? Why are they important? The first is the fact that a business process is an accountability tool. By accountability tool, it's something that helps you measure if I am making progress or if I am not. So it's an accountability tool for an organization to know what, who does what, when, how, and why. So from your process, you can tell, okay, staff A or B or vendor A or B supplies XYZ. He does it every month, every 6 months, or annually, or he does it every day. He has to bring this because that is the main material we use for creating our service. And then the last is to know the tools that he entails. Okay, he has to use the delivery truck, he has to use the drone, he has to fly it in, he has to deliver it, or he has to use a particular machine to do this. So when you understand end to end, then you know that the business process is an accountability tool. Very important. Number two is why process design? Why are processes important? Number two is the fact that processes are critical. In legal terms, you say a business is a going concern, meaning you're still in business, you're still making money. So your process is critical to remaining a going concern. That's the truth. It's critical to remain a going concern because when you stop paying attention to the process, when the business starts dying, you would not know. When your organization starts dying, you would not know. And when I talk about business organization here, you might say, okay, I run a school. It's the same thing. You might say, okay, no, I run a factory, I run an NGO. It's the same thing. Everything you do is a series of processes that are mixed together. Everything you do. Sourcing, prospecting, processing papers, processing results, processing anything you're doing, there's a how you're doing it. If there's a problem with it, eventually cascades to your business. So why again are processes important? Why are they important? Because your process is the building block of your business. At the base of your business, there are a series of processes. That's what it is. Like we said at the start of this presentation, where we said that the fact that you're not using a principle, you're not violating a principle, doesn't mean you're using it maximally. So the principle says that you should pay attention to how you do things. The customer has made a request and you want to deliver that request to the customer. How you go about doing that, it's very important. Then the next why should we pay attention to businesses is because in my observation, all business problems are process problems. So you can go on Twitter or you can go on any social media and check when people are complaining about any particular thing, they are complaining about the processes. That's what they are complaining about. When they tell you, oh, I ordered for this, you didn't deliver on time, or I ordered for this particular thing, it came out this other way, all they're telling you is your processes are not working. That's all they're telling you. So business problems are process problems. Or if you have issues, your supply chain issues, if your vendors are not delivering on time, in finance we'll say, what is your inventory days on hand, what is your working stock, those things we talk about. We're just trying to measure the efficiency of your processes. So business problems are process problems. And this is the part that we all do, but when we are now in the driver's seat, meaning delivering the service, we tend to forget it. Your customer experience is an output. Your processes are the input. You know, I talked about a fashion outlet. So I said, okay, for example, somebody wants to make a dress, somebody wants to make an outfit, and he comes to me. Let's say I'm the guy who does the fashion thingy, and he comes to me and says, okay, I want to make XYZ dress or outfit. I want it at XYZ time, and I want you to be able to deliver it for me. Do you understand this pattern? And then I do and deliver, and the person wears the outfit and says, this is not what I asked for. You didn't do this part well, or I don't like this fabric. Output. How did you get there? A series of activities. How did you get to the point where the person is telling you, I don't like this, I don't like this? How did you get there? How did you get there? It's a series of processes. That's what it is, a series of processes. So it's very important to understand that your organization, your customers' experience is an output. And there's a principle that works on the earth. It's a principle of cause and effect. For every effect, there's a cause. It would not be wise to try to change the effect and leave in the cause. That's why in local parlance, everyday language, they say, go to the root of the matter. They won't tell you, leave the leaves or leave the, what you're saying is appearances. Go to the root of the matter. So that's, for every cause, there's an effect. So that's very key. Your output, your customer's feedback, is an output. It's feedback to you. When we get into the components of process, you see where that comes in. What you do, how you do what you do, is a series of inputs that bring you to that point where the customer gives you that feedback. And then the last is your customer experience rating is the most unbiased appraisal of your process. So I come into a restaurant, for example, and I have to stand for 30 minutes, and then after 30 minutes they take my order and they have to bring it in another 10 minutes. That's 40 minutes of hunger. I will be pissed, and I'll give them a feedback. You know, today you can do ratings on Google and tell them what's up on Google. And I can go and give a review and say, this place, this is what it happens. This is what happens there. They kept me waiting for 40 minutes. And when I say that, it can be really hurtful. People might take it personal and say, this person wants to spoil my business. No, but all I have done, I've given you feedback. That comes into the framework of process design. So those are 6 reasons why businesses, why organizations, why people who would eventually go into business should and must pay attention to processes. Very important. So the next we'll talk about is the components of processes. What makes up processes? How do you create? How do you design your process? And at the start of the session, I said I was going to try my best to be as simple as possible. So there are a lot of things that they use in the professional terms, but I'm just going to break it down to four components, just 4 broad components, and then we can take it up from there. So the first are the inputs. The inputs could be data, could be raw material, could be fabric, could be ingredients, could be people, could be machines. Inputs. What are the inputs? These are the things you use to do what you need to do. That's what your inputs are. the things you require. So now sit down and think about your business. What do you offer? Do you offer services? Do you do booking services? Are you an agent, booking agent? Do you sell stuff? Do you run an organization? So ask yourself, question number one is, what are the inputs? List them out. If I say I want to be able to cook, for example, jollof rice, I have inputs for jollof rice. I would have to get the rice, I would have to get the tomato, I would have to get the other ingredients, and even the source of heat I'll use is an input. It could be gas, it could be an electric burner. That's an input also. The pan or the pot I would use is an input. The water I would use. So you see, those are the way you list out what your inputs are to your business. So you might say, okay, I do an advertising business. Fine, you're advertising. I'm into advertising and I help people push out their brand. I'm an advertising consultant. Fine. What are the inputs to that kind of business? Number one, you have to know the person's business. You have to know the person's target market. You have to know the demographics. So you see, it changes. Input changes. It could be tangible things. It could be intangible things. So you have to know your input, number one, very important. The next item of component or component of process is what we call throughput. THROUGHPUT. The throughput is the method you employ. That's why you see people say that you have a unique recipe, or you see this person has a distinct set of products, or for example, people might make sandwiches and this person's own is different, this person's own is different. People might make, for example, clothes. People might be able to deliver designs. Somebody might use Canva, somebody might use Photoshop, somebody might use CorelDRAW. How you get to do what you do is now the throughput. That's where the methods, your technique, your unique, your skill level, your expertise, that's where those things come into your process. And then you have your output. Your output is your customer's experience. Whatever they experience from what you've done is the output. And this is actually a very important part of your process, because most times we focus on the effort I put in. For example, maybe I sell on Instagram and you ordered for something and I've put in a lot of effort to transfer it to you, but the person calls and is angry because maybe I got the order wrong, or maybe it came out and it's not what I thought it was. People get angry and say, why are you talking like that? No, I'm giving you feedback. That is an output. How I feel, if I feel well about it, I will tell people, hey, I got this from XYZ vendor, go and meet XYZ vendor. That's what happens. If I don't like it, I will tell you, hey guys, don't go to that person. Oh, that person is in would say in our local parlance here, that person is one chance. Don't enter that one. Do you understand? So input, throughput, output. And then the fourth one is the most important, but you don't pay for it. And it's called feedback. The feedback goes back into either the method you used or the ingredients you picked. So we go back to the fabric. I might complain I don't like this color of fabric. Once I complain I don't like that color of fabric, I am giving you feedback for your input. I can tell you I don't like the finishing of the outfit. I am giving you feedback for your throughput. So 4 components of the process. Broad. Let's leave the balance. Let's leave the technical words. 4. Just 4. Input, throughput, output, feedback. For every service you render, you must be able to clearly identify these items. If you cannot, then there's a problem. If you cannot, then you cannot measure if you are making progress. You cannot measure if you are aligned with your unique identity, aligned with your goals, or if your products stand a chance in the market. So very important. Those 3 very, very, very important for us to do. So now we go into how does this now affect SMEs. Now let's say I run a business, and how do I apply these components of the process to my business. How do I do that? So let's say, take for example, I've used a lot of fabric a lot. Let's say, what other SME is coming up? Logistics. Let's say logistics. I do logistics in Lagos, and I tell you I will deliver in 1 hour. First of all, you must understand as an SME that any service you are rendering, there's a big company that does that same thing professionally and does it very well. The reason why you stand a chance is because there are gaps that you're trying to plug with your services, one, and then you're trying to meet a certain customer demographic. You must understand that fact. So when you understand that fact of your business, then you'll be able to sit down using our process model and tell yourself, okay, what are the output, what are the inputs to this business now? So I do a logistic business. If I do a logistic business, it's obvious that I will need some form for transportation. The faster the better. If you live in a congested city like Lagos, or in a congested their cities, their commuting is really difficult, then I might now be thinking, okay, should I use cars? Should I use bikes? Should I use drones? Yes, you have to think about that, because there are big wigs. There's the Amazon. In West Africa, there's the Jumia, there's the Konga. So there are people who do those things, who sell and deliver. So if you're going to compete, if you're going to carve a niche for yourself, number one, you have to identify, okay, what are the inputs? Okay, I need a means of transportation. I have to be able to deliver my brand value to these people. I have to be able to move their products from A to B. I have to be able to deliver on time. So your unique identity now becomes, I deliver within 1 hour. How you want to do that? That's up to you. I deliver same day. I do 24 hours delivery. So you see now your unique identity comes up. That's why you see some people tell you 24-hour service. Some people tell you free returns. Some people tell you delivery is free. What you're trying to do is customize it and trying to make you associate a particular experience with their brand. That's what you're trying to do by doing that. And then when you get your inputs ready, you know, okay, these are the things I need for this process. These are the things I need to deliver this service. Then how do I do it? To discover your own unique way, number one, is what we call customer journey. You know, our definitions of our processes talks about you're trying to render a service to the customer. You're trying to do a series of things for the customer. You're trying to, you remember our definitions. Now, if you lose sight of the customer, if you lose sight of it and you get carried away by the intricacies, carried away by how gang, let me use a local word, how gang your processes are or your equipment are, you set yourself up for failure. So you have to be able to understand, how will this person feel when he takes my process, when he takes my product. I read somewhere that a company like Apple, they pay attention to how you feel when you unbox their product. They pay attention to it. So they try to package the product in such a way that it elicits excitement in you, that you are excited. Oh, I've gotten this product. They pay that detail. So they are not just detailed about how sophisticated the thing is. No, they want to know, even to the point of when you are unboxing it, they are also there paying attention to that point and trying to say, okay, how do we structure it in such a way that this person enjoys it? So as an SME, you must be able to do this. Now, for large corporates, they've been able to identify this. So they know their target customers, they know, okay, this is what we expect them to do. If it's a restaurant, he comes in through this place, we expect him to do this, we expect him to do this and exit. But for you, who might not even have a physical location, do you know that? Do you know what it takes for a customer to contact you, to purchase, and to receive your service? Do you know what it takes? Me personally, for let's say for applications, if you tell us sign up for any application, once that application is too difficult, you've lost me. Personally, I don't like it. Once I have to spend 1, 2, 3, do this, I don't like it. So what I like doing is it's short. So you can see now, anybody who wants to design products or services for my kind of customer persona will know, okay, these kind of persons do not like for you to waste their time. This kind of persons do not like for you to drag things. Do you understand? So you have to understand who your customer is, how they go through your system. If I have to book a flight or a vacation with your service, how easy is it for me to contact you? Okay, when I contact you, what next? How do I get feedback? How timely are the feedback? So you have to be able to go through that whole spectrum, and then the output, and then whatever I give you as feedback, you must ask for feedback. Then you use it to improve, and you continue the cycle. So for SMEs, how do processes affect you? Number one, understand your customer journey. It's a customer journey map, number one. And then number two, iterative design. Keep tweaking it till the person gives you a feedback. I don't like how this thing came. You check, can I modify it? Because if that one person is giving you that feedback, then somebody else also has that problem but just decided not to talk. And then going to large organizations, maybe you work in a small structured organization, how do processes affect you? How do you identify that? It's something I call your stress index. How stressful is it? See, it should not be stressful. Work is work. But when work becomes unnecessarily stressful, something is wrong. That's what he has to tell you. So what's the stress index? You need to do this. Why is everybody under unnecessary pressure? What's the problem? Then you have to go back. Okay, what's our sequence? How do we arrange or how do we deliver this service? So if you work in an organization, process design entails what are our deliverables, how do we do our deliverables, and then how can I work on it? How can I adjust it? And how can I tweak on it? Do you understand? So for SMEs, you must start with customer journey mapping. Number one, know your customer. Remember, you're trying to align your brand identity, your goals, and your product. You're trying to align those three. So you must know, who am I serving, number one, and then you must take their feedback and iterate and change it. So how do you use processes to... Wow, we're 30 minutes in. Okay, how do we use processes to drive growth? How do we use processes to measure? How do you use processes to improve whatever you're doing now? The concept here is something we call improvement. That's why I said the feedback is the most important part of a process model. The feedback, what is telling you, and why do we have to pay attention to that? For three things. We want our processes to be able to help us, number one, reduce, meaning deliver the service at the lowest cost. Number two, with the less stress. Remember I told you about your stress index, less stress. And then number three, with less input, meaning I should not have multiple layers. If I have to get something from your shop, I should not come to one person, pay to one person, go to one person. I shouldn't go through that stress as a customer. Do you understand? I shouldn't go through that stress as a customer. So how do you now start working your process to do that? It's a concept we call process improvement. So you go, first of all, identify, this is my model, this is what works for me today. When you know what works for you today, then you now start querying the different points. Okay, my input, what can I do better? What don't I need? What can I remove? How is this affecting me? What is the cost of this? Is there an alternative cost of source of supply? Can I get this from another person? That's one thing that now comes into play. The next, you now go to the methods you employ. Ask yourself, okay, we do it this way. Can we do it better? If we do it this way and we get it out in 48 hours, can we change a particular point and then get it out in 12 hours? Or get it out in 24 hours? Can we reduce this timeline? Can we deliver faster? Can we use a different product? Maybe you use a particular machine or instrument and it gives you a particular texture that you don't like. Okay, can I change this texture? Can I do something else? You understand? So when you measure, when you be able to query your process and ask yourself, okay, this is giving me this output. What can I make better? What can I make better? And you keep asking that question, then your customer gets the service and he gives you a feedback, tells you, I did not like XYZ, please improve. And then you go back to the design. So that is actually how you go from process design to process improvement. How you use the process, number one, to either scale up, because if I deliver in less time, it means I can use that as a selling point and tell people, if you go to customer A and vendor A, you get it in 48 hours. I can do it in 24 hours, same quality or better quality. Guess what? People will do that. People will come to you. And you prove that you have better quality, people will stay with you. It would improve your revenue, it would improve your market share, it would improve your unique identity in the market. So you want to be able to identify those things in your processes. Number two, why you need to be able to measure your process. You want to know, okay, am I on course or am I off course? If I said I was going to give you this outcome, am I giving that outcome? If not, what is wrong? But if you do not know, if you haven't modeled your process, if you haven't done this design, then it becomes difficult and it becomes a problem for you to be able to make those corrective actions. So it's very important for you to be able to know that. So your process model, and then you know, okay, these are where the source of complaints from my customers. What is wrong here? Am I missing it here? Can I do this better? If it's a vendor that renders that service, is there a better vendor that can do this for me, or can I get this more done? Can I get this done better, rather with more people, or reduce the input I use for that? So that's the second way you can use processes to drive your growth. And then the last one is to check how it affects your cost. So when I go through my process, I find out that, okay, this is costing me XYZ amount to deliver this thing. Can I do it cheaper? Not saying can I do it cheaper because I want to be substandard. No. Can I do it cheaper, render the same quality of service, and then save more on my cost of production? So that will only be possible if I know the different components that go into my process or go into my product and how I deliver my product. That would only be if I run a school, if I run even a church. If you go to a church, and how long does it take? A simple basic process in a church setting is, how long does it take your congregants to exit the building? Very simple process. How long and how easy is it for them to enter and exit, especially if you run multiple services? Very simple. If it takes me 30 minutes to park and 10 minutes to enter, so it means if I'm coming for a service at 9, I have to be there at 8:20. Nobody will go through that stress. Very simple process. So when you can define that, okay, the person comes in through this, then you can ask, okay, what is the problem? Do we need to create designated spots of entry and exit? Do we need to rearrange our car parking strategy? Do we need to designate exit points in the building for each services? You see, when you know the process, then you can begin to make those corrective actions in the process. So we've been able to go through the business process overview. We've been able to talk about what a business process is. We've been able to talk about the components of a process. If you're going to deliver a service, if you do one today or you're going to start one, we've been able to talk about it. We've been able to identify the broad components. There are more broad components of processes, which are inputs, which are the throughput, and which is the output, and then the feedback. We've been able to identify those things, and then we've been able to talk about how you can use your knowledge of your process to measure your alignment of your unique identity, the alignment of your goals, and the alignment of your product offerings. We've been able to talk about that. We've been able to talk about how SMEs and small businesses can leverage this method to be able to gain market share and drive their growth through a system we called customer journey mapping. So we've been able to talk about that, and then how organizations can effect and improve their processes. So thank you for joining this session. Thank you. I really appreciate your time. I thank you for making our time on 7:30 in the morning to join us. We've been here for 45 minutes. I thought it would be less than that. All right, so thank you very much for joining. There will be more sessions. The next session is going to be how processes can be used to drive nation building. So even when you say things are not working in the country, how you can use processes to drive nation building, how you can use processes to drive lifestyle changes. So it's going to be a series of conversations. So the next is going to be process design, how processes can drive nation building. You would use Nigeria, and then we'll use Africa as a case study. So thank you very much. I appreciate every single person that joined. Thank you. The replay will be available on IG Live. The replay will also be available on YouTube. I think we would work on making it available on YouTube. Very, very, very important. Thank you very much. I hope you've been able to learn something from this. I try to make it as simple as possible. I really appreciate everybody. Thank you guys. You are the best. Thank you for this. All right. So I guess I can allow everybody to get back to their Saturday itinerary. Thank you. Look out for the flyers for the next session. It's going to be process design, how it could drive nation building. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.